Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're talking about boundaries. Boundaries. I don't know why I just did that. Anyways, today it's gonna be very up and personal, okay? I'm just gonna be telling you guys what I've been learning about boundaries. Number one, you don't set boundaries because you feel like you don't deserve them. Point blank, period. That's why you don't set them. You may even not even know at this point right now, as you're watching this video, that you have the right to set boundaries. A perfect example to use is Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Okay, Jesus literally had to set boundaries. Like whenever he needed some time to spend with the Lord, he would, step away and say, guys, I need a minute. And it's kind of cool because Jesus hanged out with a bunch of different kind of people. He hanged out with, prostitutes. He hanged out with sinners and people that were just in the world and doing worldly things. He hanged out with all of them, but he never really got affected by them, nor did he kind of was off them. He wasn't off the world or off them. He was himself. He was God himself. And he remained that way because the Lord had boundaries. There was many other reasons as to why, but one of the main reasons is because Jesus had boundaries. Jesus had boundaries with his time alone with God. Jesus had boundaries with his time with basically people that he hanged around with. And he would basically say, hey, I love y'all. I respect y'all. I'm here for y'all. And I'm, willing to help you here and there, and I'm literally here to do that. But at the same time, I need some time. Or there would be boundaries of like how much access he had, they had to him. Now, I think this is so interesting because like in my life, whenever I've struggled with boundaries or setting them, it was because I never felt like I deserved to have these boundaries. Like I never really felt like, setting boundaries is necessary for me and for me to meet the needs that I have for myself. And I think a lot of it comes for me specifically, and I can't speak for you guys, but was because of how I was raised, and I think the culture that I come from. When you come from a culture that like other people's needs are in front of yours, and like you are sort of second taught in a sense. And you guys know, if you're like from a European household or if African household or even a Hispanic household, like any foreign household, like you understand that like these things are how they are, and you are taught to put other people before yourself, or even other people's needs before yourself. And this is just how kind of I think it was ingrained in me from a very young age to do that. I watched everyone around me doing that, putting, basically everyone but themselves ahead of themselves. But I do think there needs to be a balance. There absolutely has to be balance of like, that and taking time. So with that being said, boundaries. I think because I was raised like that, and that's just kind of how it was ingrained in me, I struggled to put boundaries because I never felt like I deserved them. At some point, I even thought like I didn't have them. I didn't even know that I could have them. So how can I set them if I didn't know that they were accessible to me and I can put the boundaries? You know what I mean? So for a lot of you guys, you're probably struggling this in the same way. Like you literally have boundaries that you can set, but you ultimately feel that you can't set them because you might disappoint somebody, or that maybe you don't even know that it's accessible to you that you can do this. And so what I'm going to advise to you, my friend, I wish somebody advised to me, is that number one, you have boundaries. Yeah, you might feel like you don't really deserve it, so that's why you kind of don't really set these boundaries, and you kind of let everybody walk all over you, and you let everybody have access to you, and you kind of just say yes to everything. And I think for a long time in my life, I definitely have said yes to everything, Have you guys ever seen that video? Like the guy's like gonna jump off a cliff and he's just like laughing about it. He's gonna drink like a thing and he's like laughing about it. I think that's so funny. It's not funny, but it's funny. But anyways, so yeah, so you know, I kind of had, I kind of was a yes, like I was just like, okay, like I kind of just wanted to make other people happy, and being a people pleaser, like sometimes you kind of just want to make people happy, and you kind of just say yes to everything, hoping that other people are happy. But what we're forgetting in that process is that, some people might be happy today, but at some point they're not going to be happy. And so if you continue to please them and like what they need and like what they think, what you think you should do because they want you to do it, like you're honestly going to continuously to disappoint yourself. And not only that, but it's just not, people pleasing is not for anyone. So back to what I was saying is that you feel that you don't really deserve it, or you can even do it, or you have even access to it. And I want you to know that you do have access. You can absolutely say no to whatever that doesn't serve you, and anything that hurts you. Because I feel like when it comes to boundaries, it all boils down to, like, when I've had to set boundaries in the past, it was to protect myself. Simply like because I don't emotionally feel safe, or I don't feel safe at all, or I feel like somebody's walking all over me, like as simple as that. And I think we can often, resort to like the defensive method of like setting boundaries of like, I'm gonna like block everything and like nobody's gonna get to me. That can happen, and that's natural. That might be the first thing that happens whenever you're learning how to set boundaries. But you just have to remember that, like, okay, you don't want to block everything from everyone, and you don't want to block yourself from everything that the world is around you. But what you want to do is, if that's what you have to do in the beginning as you're learning how to set boundaries, it might happen. But you do need to realize you have to kind of learn how to have a balance of both, of like kind of how Jesus did it. I think Jesus is a perfect example. You guys can look at this in the Bible, like the stories there, you can read it. It's very interesting how he was able to have that both balance of like having boundaries and saying no to things, and like basically limiting access and all of these things. But at the same time, when he needs to step away to talk to God, like this man said goodbye. Okay, he said, I'll talk to y'all later. Okay, and he stepped away and he would just be with God. And I think it's interesting because sometimes when we have a calling over, so I think the first point I made was that, number one, a lot of us don't even know that we have access to setting boundaries and saying no to things and being like, actually, this doesn't work for me. And then the second thing is, you don't feel like you deserve it. A lot of the times when we grow up in that way of like putting other people first and, not caring, like not even, thinking about what our needs are, it just becomes a thing of like, we don't even think that we deserve it. And the third point I'll make is that actually you're going to disappoint a lot of people, right? And I think you fear that also, right? Like we all fear like we're going to lose people, we're not going to be, but I just think that anyone that you set a boundary with, or you say, hey, listen, this doesn't really work for me, this and the next is bothering me, this is affecting me, etc., of communicating this with the people that are around you. I feel like once you've communicated that, if people cannot accept that and respect you enough to understand what it is that you just explained to them, it's like, oh, so the moment I say no, or the moment I'm setting these boundaries, or I'm like, putting whatever, a pin or whatever you want to call it to it, our relationship doesn't exist. Oh, got it. And then it's also like you're gonna find out that like sometimes when people are benefiting from whatever it is that they were gaining in the relationship with you, whether it's intentional or unintentional, once you set those boundaries and you're like saying no to things now, and you're like basically expressing your needs and the fact that you literally have needs now, because before you didn't do that, right? You kind of just let people walk all over you. Now you're like, actually, I have needs and I need this for me to be okay, or whatever the case may be. You're communicating these things to the people that are around you. If people cannot accept that and work with you on that and respect you and be like, oh, actually, if you need space right now, I respect it. I fully respect it. You know what? Take the space that you need. I'll be right with you at whenever. And I just feel like it's a thing of like, okay, is people respecting that or not? And I think when we're talking about boundaries, it's like we cannot not talk about our relationships in our lives and the people that are around us, because obviously what else are you setting boundaries with? But I do feel like that's a different beast and that's a whole different story. And I think we're talking about here setting boundaries and learning how to set boundaries. And this can be for, you know, the people that are in your life, or it could be for yourself, or whatever it is that is around you. I think why this is so important is that as people, we have needs. It's as simple as that, right? We have human needs, and the more we neglect these needs that we have, and we continuously people please, and we make ourselves small so other people can feel, because we don't want to lose people, or we don't want to offend others, or like how other people will respond or how other people are reacting is really not our responsibility. At the end of the day, like if we're being honest and we're communicating and we're sharing how we feel and, you know, all of these things, that's all that we can do on our part. I'm speaking the truth. At the end of the day, like we have to let them react how they want to react, you know, the let them theory. Twice. No, yeah, like at the end of the day, like it's like, if the moment I'm saying no or I'm setting boundaries, it's kind of like, let's say you have a boyfriend, right? You have a boyfriend and you and your boyfriend were doing things not the godly way. Let's just put it that way. You were doing things in not the godly way, right? And then you tell your boyfriend, hey, actually, I want to do it the God way. Like, not the God way, not the God. No, I want to do things the right way. Like, I actually want to, like, this is how we've been doing things. I actually want to do it different. I want to do it the right way. I want us to walk in, you know, with Christ, and I want Christ to be at the center. The moment the boyfriend is like, actually, this isn't gonna work for me. Goodbye. Like, I can't do this. Then that tells you, like, what the heck is the deal here, right? Because if you communicated to that person like your needs and like the boundaries that you need to set of like, hey, I know this is how we've been doing things, but I need to make things change around here. Like, this doesn't work for me. It's not good for us. Like, it's not good for the long lasting of the relationship, because we all know we should be walking with the Lord at the center in any relationship, correct? So anyways, I just, you know, me being the person that I am, I just think that maybe just maybe, if that person is gonna end the relationship with you because you're not setting boundaries and you're saying, I can no longer participate in this and then the next, that tells you a lot about the person and why they were in the relationship with you to begin with, correct? So I'm proving the point that don't be afraid once you set those boundaries to those people. Don't be afraid that, you know, you might make somebody uncomfortable. At the end of the day, if you're being truthful and you're telling your truth and you're being honest, unfortunately we cannot control how other people are responding and how other people are feeling about certain things. All we can do is be honest and tell the truth and be communicative as to what our needs are, because like I said, we can't continue to not know that we have needs, because we do have needs. And the more you deny that and the more you continue to like basically go throughout this life acting like everything is okay when everything is not okay, the more you're going to be affected. So the sooner you realize that you actually have needs and those needs need to be met, and the way those needs can be met is by basically not saying yes to everything that everybody wants you to do, or like whatever the case may be, but rather by having boundaries and being like, this doesn't work for me, this works more for me, etc., etc. And I just hope that this video helped you. I feel like this is a very huge thing for me, because I'm somebody who deeply cares about and values the people that are around me and their opinion, and etc., etc. And it took me a while to realize, okay, I have to be comfortable with the decisions that I'm making now by myself, and that if I'm setting boundaries and somebody's not okay with that, you know, don't be too crazy, too far off of like, okay, I'm gonna like block everything. Like, no, like I think if you, as simple as like just communicate what you need, other people should be able to meet it, and sometimes other people don't, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't definitely block yourself from everything, but rather, if that's what you need to do in the beginning, that's what you have to do. But rather take small steps and slowly, gradually set those boundaries and communicate your needs with people, and you know, hopefully they understand. And if they don't, maybe these are not the people that are meant to be in your life. And it's kind of a hard pill to swallow when it comes to that, but at the end of the day, like, you have to be aligned with God and what he wants you to do and what he has for your life. And the only way to do that is, again, by, you know, you'll figure it out. Like, you're gonna figure it out. I just think that if people truly love you and people care about you, these are the things that they're going to be able to work with you with. And if they cannot do that, then maybe that's just a relationship that you need to reevaluate. And it's hard personally for me because, you know, again, I come from a background of putting other people's feelings and, you know, their opinions and, you know, other people's needs first before mine. And this is something I've had to learn in my early 20s. Like, I just had to learn it. Like, it's hard, but you kind of eventually have to learn how to deal with it, and sometimes be okay with disappointing people and, you know, how other people might respond to certain things. Like, that is completely out of our control. So there's nothing that we can do outside of just be ourselves, show up authentically, and walk with the Lord and do everything through God and like what he wants us to do in our lives. As long as we're doing that, there's nothing that we're doing wrong in this life. Literally, like, as long as we're walking with God and he is in our life, and like, we have pure intent in everything that we're doing, and we're not doing it to harm anybody, but rather to literally protect ourselves and like basically like our needs to be met so that we can be the best individuals that we can be in our lives. Like, so at the end of the day, you have to set boundaries, because you are going to be miserable if you don't have boundaries in your life. If you are just letting people walk all over you, and if you are just a yes man and you are just a people's pleaser, and you continuously just kind of let people do whatever they want to do and basically control your life, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. You have to eventually, you know, take a initiative for your life and say, actually, this is my life and this works for me, this doesn't work for me. Could you please work with me on this? If you cannot, then I understand. If you can, great. We're on the same page. If not, either way, I really hope you guys learned something in this video. The main thing is just that. Just know that you are worth every boundary that you could ever set in your life. Just know that there's nothing wrong with you setting those boundaries, especially if you come from a background of, like, again, just putting other people's needs or whatever the case may be in front of yours. I just want you to know that, like, it's okay. You're not a horrible person for communicating your needs and setting boundaries. There's nothing wrong with that. I think there has to be a limit. I think that you shouldn't do it to the point of overboard of like blocking everything and just like don't do that. I mean, if you have to do it in the beginning because you're learning how to set boundaries, that's different, and do whatever you need to do by any means to protect your peace and, you know, your well-being. However, try to find that balance of, like, you know, communicating with your needs, but at the same time meeting people where they are, but never compromise your peace ever. And don't bring yourself down to make other people feel okay. That's just not how things work around here. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one.